Hi, I'm Mel Leocadio. Hey, I work as a development engineer at the design center for a company called Worldmark. We make prototypes for tech companies in the Bay Area. An example of this would be like branding for a product or die cuts, which are little parts that go into electronics. You can cut it in any shape. And yeah, the general overarching goal is to improve society, and a major that fit that goal was biosystems engineering, which was to improve the environment. And my goals with my company now, they're a little more specialized, and basically it's to learn what I can about all the business interactions and just basically be a sponge. To be honest, on some days, I think I went to 5 years of UC Davis to cut up little parts that go into electronics, but those are really frustrating days, and the work's sometimes really tedious. But then there are other days when I think and realize, wow, this is some really cool stuff. I get to see like cutting edge technologies and parts that go into it, so I'm happy with that. So the stuff that I do is pretty cool. But I know that this isn't where my career stops. And eventually, I want to start working through that overarching career goal of helping society and making an impact and somehow helping the environment, all of those things. It's just a slow process. I'm happy to be where I am at this moment, given my background, but I want to do more. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. If I were to identify, I am a first generation Filipino American. Um, to be honest, I didn't really learn too much about my culture until I moved to Davis, started going to school there, and started to get involved with some of the organizations there. Um, I learned a little bit more about where I came from and how my ethnicity plays into basically my decisions. So our parents' goals coming here was to improve our life based on or compared to how they grew up in the Philippines. They didn't have the opportunities that we have now. So when I went to Davis, I tried my best to take advantage of all these resources that I had and all these opportunities that came to me that my parents never had. And with that in mind, I felt a lot of pressure to succeed. Not that it wasn't, not that it was all bad, but there was just a lot of pressure there because I was the first one to go to college, and being middle class Filipino. I don't know if being Filipino had anything to do with it, but just being middle class, had loans to pay for, and it was just very stressful, like having that burden on my back throughout college, and especially towards the end, like, and having that expectation, like, you need to make money and pay all these loans back. Advice to confused students: if you can, if you have the money and you have the time, try any and all subjects that interest you, because you never know what you're really into until you actually try it. But given that we do have limitations with money and time, so do research. If I had the knowledge that I had today, I would still pursue the same path, except I would take advantage of all the resources I had throughout college. I talked to my professors more, my colleagues, counselors. On the same token, I would try not to take it all too seriously. And by that I mean if I didn't do so well, um, I'd be much better equipped to accept shortcomings and bounce back harder. So this is the realm I would probably end up, but I would have so many more experiences in my pocket and try to experience it all. That's what I would do differently. I kind of already touched upon this earlier, but being the first one going to college, I felt a lot of pressure to succeed at one point, and it felt almost crushing. I was at the very end The winter before I graduated from college, I was very stressed out about finding a job to pay back my loans. I felt a lot of pressure not to make my parents' financial sacrifices in vain. I felt a lot of pressure not to make my parents' financial sacrifices a waste. It made me pretty depressed at one point. Um, you could say I didn't have a lot of faith in myself, and I guess that probably plays into the fact that not many Asian American women are represented in the media or a lot of outlets as engineers. Although there were a lot of Asian American engineers in Davis, it's just it never, like, I didn't see people that looked like me in positions like that, like where I was heading. So I didn't see it within myself. I started to compare myself to other students and their drives, their knowledge, their ability to communicate effectively, because that just wasn't my background. I didn't have that in my pocket. This was a very low point I experienced during the winter before I graduated. I think I said that already. But a way that I got through it was I sought counseling and psychological services because I felt like I was in over my head. And honestly, that's what saved me. Talking out through stresses with my counselor, Marissa, she helped me work through that inner dialogue that you grow up with, that I grew up with, just being that I wasn't competent just because I hadn't seen very many examples of women in my position. And she helped me rationalize things and put things in a different perspective. And she tapped into a world that I could live in. I guess throughout my life, I've kind of felt incompetent. Fourth grade, my teacher, I was at a parent-teacher conference with my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Hopes, and she was discussing some things with my mom, and she said, I guess she's just going to be a B student. And I think that kind of made me angry. That's one of the things that made me angry. Let me start over. It made me angry, and it kind of pushed me to just do better. And I don't know if that was the intention, but I don't think that was really appropriate to say to someone at that young age. And that kind of instilled an incompetency in me, or a sense of that, just like not being able to live up to expectations of what an A student is. There was another time when a bio teacher There was another time when a teacher made a comment in class. I don't know what led up to this or what the other context was, but he said, "The more money you have, the smarter you are," and that was just kind of like a paralyzing comment, just because I've grown up in a middle class family, and we didn't have as many resources as other families. Like, our parents were just focused on making money, providing, and it's not that we were scraping by, but it's just this was in high school, so it was more apparent, like, the differences between social classes then, and it was just, like, coming to me, and it kind of, that comment also made me angry. It's just another, it just brought to light another way, like, I don't know, other feelings of incompetency, and I was really offended by it. But it gave me more drive to just make it. So, yeah. I don't know, I'm just sharing these comments of, like, I guess, I don't know if it's discrimination or it's just kind of things that stick out growing up, like these comments that people say about, like, classes and stuff. And it kind of gets ingrained in you.